Okay, I might actually look at the exterior elevation to start with. This is what I'll do. So from the exterior elevation, I will go into create an extrusion. I will make an extrusion out of a rectangle, and I'll just put it somewhere out here in space for the moment so that I can dimension it nice and easily. I'll change that to 45 wide. We'll just do this so that it matches, and 150 high. I'm just doing that so it matches the sizes of the mullions that we're using. So these reference planes here are the glass panel. So the glass panel sitting inside the aluminium extrusions around the outside, which are 45 millimeters wide. So I might just finish this one off for the moment. Okay, I want to make this, if I'm looking at the outside and exterior view, I'm looking at the center. I'm drawing this all on the center plane of the curtain wall. So the mullions are 150 millimeters deep in plan. So I want this extrusion to start half of that, 75 millimeters away from that plane. Now it's coming out of the page at me. So I would start that extrusion at minus 75. And if I wanted this extrusion here to horizontally extrude outside the top of the window to a distance of say 900, I would go minus 975. So it's yep, that's right. So it's a 900 millimeter long piece of aluminium extrusion. It's going to start 75 millimeters from that plane, and it'll extend 975 millimeters from that plane. While I'm here, let's talk about materials for this extrusion. So the properties of the materials through there. If I click in here and I can add the materials straight away. But that's probably not a good idea when we're sharing materials from a family into a project. Because if we assign a material here and that conflicts with a material of the same name back in the project, or even if that material doesn't exist in the project, you might have some problems. The better way of doing it would be to come to this next button to the right hand side there and click on that. And this is where we can add a parameter which will drive that material back in the project. So click on this button here to add a new parameter, and I'll call this a louver support. So let's call it louver support material. So we've created a parameter called louver support material. And if I click OK to that, and click OK, it means I don't have to actually define the Revit material here in the family. I can wait for that to be loaded into a project, and the person controlling the project then can choose what material to assign to that particular extrusion. So now I'm going to hit the green tick, and I've got that extrusion there. Now what I want to do with that, I'll probably want to lock everything in so nothing changes. So if I just put some, I just went DI for dimension, shortcut key for dimension, DI. If I just put some dimensions from the top over there and dimensions on the side down there, and then if I select those dimensions and hit the padlock so they won't change, select the dimensions and hit the padlock, they won't change. And then I was thinking I might, if I AL for a line, so I'm typing the shortcut key, AL for a line, or you can find it up here. Here's the align tool up there, and you can see the shortcut key in brackets, AL. So if you align and pick the reference plane as the first pick, and then pick this edge of the extrusion, because I've locked that 45, it can't change, it moved the whole extrusion to that point there. Now I might just grab this extrusion and use my arrow keys on my keyboard to nudge everything up a little bit higher. I just want to come up so it's sitting up above that reference plane. And that top reference plane is where the glass finishes. There's 45 millimeters of aluminium framing around the outside of that I want to align this to. So I'll put another dimension in, reference plane to the top edge. I'll just put this one out to the side here at the moment. I'll select the extrusion now, and then I'll make that dimension 45 and press enter. And once again, I think it'd be wise if I lock that dimension in place. Okay, so we've got an extrusion happening through there. Now, we'll load this back into our project now using this button through here. If you click load it into the project. Now, here's a very important dialog box here. I'm just not too sure that I've ever used this top button. I always click on the bottom button here, because as we start changing actual parameter values, we want to make sure those parameters get updated into this file as well. Otherwise you might just be bringing in the geometry without parameters. At the moment it probably wouldn't matter, but I think it's a good habit to get into to click the second one here so that you update parameters as well. So if I click on that one through there, you can see now that what we've done here with this particular panel, if I tab through, that panel now includes that extrusion there as well. These panels don't, but if I was to change that panel there from being system panel to the one that we made, where is that? It's the glaze panel with the shade device. If I change it to that one, you've got to select the type underneath, the glaze panel with the shade device. So you can now see you can go ahead and make individual panels perform different functions with different geometry out of the glass curtain wall. So when I start the video back again, we'll just now develop this to include a lot more geometry with some louver blades and things like that. So I'll stop the video there at the moment.